past 2 days, your wake-up call with sunny skies and birds chirping. But what's in store for the rest of the week?
And the Syracuse women's lacrosse team is competing for the ACC championship in South Bend this week. And a local man came back to his hometown to perform his best Rum Tum Tugger. All that and more coming up on Mornings on the Hill.
Good morning, I'm Caitlin McCarthy. Thanks for joining us for Mornings on the Hill.
And I'm Miles Hood. Here's a look at your top stories. A Tesla CEO, Elon Musk, has officially purchased Twitter under a $44 billion deal. Now, our reporter Morgan Scott is here in studio and has a full breakdown.
Yes, that's right. Elon Musk is the new owner of Twitter. Musk has been very vocal about his desire to have Twitter return to a platform for absolute free speech. I spoke with Syracuse University professor to see what this purchase may look like for the future of Twitter.
It's hard to really predict how somebody as erratic as or as unpredictable as Elon Musk is. Today he's a free speech absolutist. Who knows how he's going to feel in a couple of weeks or a couple of years after people say awful things about him on Twitter, or after there's another insurrection of some kind. So it's hard to tell.
The biggest questions some may have are whether those who were once banned from the platform, including former President Trump, will now be allowed to tweet again. Reporting for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Morgan Scott.
And summer is quickly approaching. That means summer construction will be starting soon. Our Ari Horton is live on Walnut Avenue with updates on the construction timeline.
Thanks, Caitlin. So Chief Facilities Officer Pete Sala told me that he had some updates for construction over on the campus throughout the summer. So he said the one important thing is that he wants to make sure that people know what construction is going on the campus so that they can easily navigate the campus, whether that be through walking or driving.
Well, I'm also that guy that walks campus daily, and it drives me crazy at how bad the sidewalks are between Shine and Newhouse. And there, we see people trip, and it's a hazard. So we're going to put the next phase of the signage on campus. We're going to put these beautiful gateway signs in that are limestone that say Syracuse University on them. And it's going to tie to the oldest buildings on campus. And it will welcome people from University Ave up to our campus. We're fixing so many things behind the scenes that people don't see. The mechanical upgrades and the cooling upgrades and all the things that we do every summer. We're putting the university in such a better place and such a better situation as far as how the campus works that people don't see it.
Now those sidewalks, like Sala mentioned, you can see some of them are getting fixed right behind me as we speak. And Sala said that they have 5 to 10 year plans to decide what gets fixed on campus first. And from the timeline, you can see that the construction will start on May 16th, which is just a few weeks after students leave campus for the summer. And the work will continue all the way up until August 19th, which is 10 days before students start classes for the fall. Now, there will be some construction and updates on some of the buildings inside on campus, but that won't affect the ability to walk and get around campus throughout the summer. Reporting live for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Ari Horton.
Now let's take a look at those current COVID numbers. Now, there are currently 73 cases as of yesterday. That is 66 cases down from the previous update. There are also 20 new active student cases, along with 7 new employee cases. Now, the university is currently sitting at a 2.7% surveillance rate, and the mask level is currently blue.
One of Syracuse University's professors' life goes beyond the classroom. Morning on the Hill, Thomas Cook explains what makes his journey so unique.
When someone says, "What do you do?" It's like, okay, which story do you want me to tell?
Ulf Osterly wears many hats. To begin, he's an assistant professor at Syracuse University's Newhouse Communication School, where he teaches the business of music.
For me, teaching has been a big part of my life. I've been at Syracuse for a really long time, and it's been very interesting to be a part of this program growing.
Outside of work, Australia lives in his RV. He bought it in October of 2020 so he could chase his dream of being an Ironman athlete.
If I'm paying for hotels every weekend, and I'm in my office 10 or 12 hours a day, Monday through Thursday anyway, why would I pay rent for a place that I'm never going to be in?
Ulf also has 2 children, and they say their dad talked about buying an RV for a while, but were surprised when he actually did it.
Nothing really changed for me. It was sort of like the same thing, just like living with dad.
As an athlete, Ulf faced many challenges along the way.
So I was born without my left hand. When I was a year old, I had nubbins, which were like little tiny balls of skin where my fingers should have been. I had those removed. And ever since then, I've operated just having my right hand, missing my left, and you know, it hasn't stopped me.
That hasn't slowed him down. Australia is the #1 para-athlete in his age group in the US and #2 in the world. But there's part of him that doesn't like being #2.
There's a few things that I still have, you know, in my bucket list. You know, I want to end up #1 overall in the world. That's a goal.
Australia also told me that he got a little bit of a late start to his training this year because of the long winter, but he plans his Ironman season to start in June and chase down world #1. Miles?
Thanks, Thomas. That story just warms your heart, you know? Well, listen, the annual Dolphin Day returned to the campus of Lemoyne, and it's a lot of students' first time celebrating, and they couldn't be happier that it's been back. Now, every year, the Grand Wizard of Lemoyne selects a day in the springtime, and all the students take the day off to enjoy the festivities. The festival took place in the main quad this year and had hundreds of students partying like it's 1999. You know, the festival had inflatables, food trucks, games, and just plenty of Dolphin pride.
Thanks, Miles. On Syracuse University campus, we're also getting ready for a party. Mayfest and Block Party take place this Friday. It starts with Mayfest, which is a day-long event feature food, fun, and music. That's followed by the concert at night at the Dome. It features 2 Chainz and Baby Keem. Check out the University Union's website for ticket information.
Also coming up, we're taking a look at the weather and the Syracuse women's lacrosse team and its playoffs run this week. Stay tuned for those stories and more here on Mornings on the Hill.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Now, I'd love to stand here and tell you all that, like my dress, spring has sprung, but unfortunately, that's not the case in central New York. Right now, it's in the low 50s. It feels like about 52. It's a little foggy out. Visibility's at around 8.0 miles. We had sprinkles of rain every now and then this morning, but it wasn't anything too crazy, and it will likely be that way throughout the rest of the day. The temperature will remain the same throughout the day, but it will cool down in the evening, even reaching the mid-30s overnight. And looking ahead to tomorrow, tomorrow, you know what they say, April showers bring May flowers, which is nice because it will be lightly raining on and off throughout the day, as you can see. Now, it's not enough to bring out the rain boots, all of your gear, but it's just enough to warrant a light jacket or maybe an umbrella if you're feeling that and if you're gonna head out for the day. It will be a little chilly with the highs around 41 degrees, getting to even the upper 30s by the evening. And believe it or not, there's a chance for some snow showers tomorrow morning. Now, I know what you're thinking, snow in late April? Yeah, unfortunately, I guess the winter weather wanted to really go out with a bang this season. There's about a 50% chance of snow showers in the morning, but don't worry, it's gonna go away quickly, and hopefully that will end Syracuse's winter wonderland this season. And looking ahead to the 5-day forecast. Now, if you're a warm weather lover like myself, I wish I had better news for you. The beautiful day that we had yesterday won't be here for a while because it's gonna start cooling down on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The highs will be in the 40s and 50s, with the lows even getting to some freezing temperatures. But it won't be like that for long. Temperatures will start warming up into the 60s to usher in the new month of May. And even though temperatures will be on the cooler side, it will be sunny throughout the week, so that will give us something to smile about until we start seeing the warmer weather return. That's all for your weather update. I'm Allison Turner. Back to you, Caitlin and Miles.
Listen, April showers do bring May flowers. Allison, thank you for that weather update. Now, a lawmaker says that a gunman has killed 2 children and a staff member at a kindergarten in Russia. Citing preliminary information, federal lawmakers and former Governor Sergei Morozov wrote on the VK social network that a man has entered the kindergarten in a central Russian town. He shot a female staff member and a child before shooting himself. Local health officials say that 1 staff member was wounded.
The failure of security cameras in the New York subway station where a gunman opened fire this month is being investigated. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority's acting inspector general announced the probe Monday. Police acknowledged that security cameras in 3 stations weren't working on the morning of April 12th, including the station where the gunman set off a smoke bomb and shot 10 people. Other cameras in the subway system helped police track suspect Frank James' movements after the shooting. James also left behind a bag containing weapons, smoke grenades, and the key to a U-Haul truck he had driven. The MTA has nearly 10,000 cameras at its 472 subway stations.
Violence can bring devastating loss. There's also a type of violence we can control. Our Morgan Scott took a closer look into the issue on the east side of Syracuse and how one local leader is teaching youth to put the guns down and the gloves up.
Violence can be fun, but it does not always have to be the way of life, except for Sharif Dansel.
I wake up, I think about the gym like, yeah, I'm going to the gym. I don't think about nothing else.
It's been his happy place since he was just 7 years old. After always fighting with his siblings, his dad took Dansel and his brothers to a gym. Boxing became the rhythm of his life. For Sharif, a life without it seems all too blurry.
I mean, most of my friends is dead or in jail, so like, I mean, not to say it like that, but possibly, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what I'll be doing, and that's sad to say, you know? Like now, I can honestly say in 5 years, I plan to be a pro boxer, or something, you know what I'm saying? My future is planned out ahead for me.
A future that he constantly works towards here. Knockouts aren't the only lessons he's learning.
You're late, hurry up. You and your sister each owe me 100 burpees.
The issue of gun violence in the city is not anything new to Coach Curtis Chaplin, who teaches kids how to fight adversity, a life lesson he had to learn on his own.
I'm at the age now where just about any and everyone who is shot or killed within the city, I know them.
Curtis and his friend began their business in a park just like this one, with a goal to help change the life outcomes of Syracuse youth. After a few months, he opened his own facility and called it Option Zero.
First started boxing on accident. One of my teachers knew that I had a lot of anger, and he actually put some gloves on me and taught me how to throw a jab.
He's teaching more than how to protect yourself.
Time management, financial literacy, cryptocurrency, a lot of different things that we didn't learn, as well as introducing them to trades in different ways of avenues and trying to partner them with people who are in these fields so that when they are ready, that's an easy walk-in.
Option Zero does more than prepare kids to become big-time boxers. It offers tutoring services, homework help, and...
When we have our programs are fun-filled. So we're doing barbecues. We have a kickball team that we play on during the summers. Like, we have tons of fun. It's just trying to keep the kids involved so that they understand, hey, I'm a kid, and this is what it's like to have fun.
That's the way he helps fight brutality they may face on the streets. In the year 2021, Syracuse Police Department reported a total of 29 homicides in the city, only 2 less than the previous year. So far in 2022, SBD data reveals that there have been 2 homicides thus far, a 50% decrease from this time last year.
I believe the fight against gun crime is a war that we can win. We will save precious lives, and Syracuse will show the nation how a city successfully turns back gun violence.
He is only one man doing what he can, but Curtis has a suggestion for the mayor.
If they want to fix up violence, they want to fix up crime, stop spending money on these murals. They They just tried to have $250,000 spent on murals. What is murals gonna do to a city and a community that's poor? They have no food, they have horrible education. Our education system here is trash, trash. There's nothing they can do that they haven't already done besides reverse the gentrification, reverse the colonization, and the systematic racism structures that are in place.
In the meantime, his message to the youth is still the same.
Don't give up, don't settle for what people are going to tell you or what they're giving you, Had I settled, we wouldn't be here. Had I settled and said the people ahead of me that said we couldn't do it and said that we wouldn't have no funds or we wouldn't be able to make it happen, had I listened to them, a lot of these kids would be, statistics to the streets.
Gun violence may be a big issue. Fixing the problem begins with small victories. Reporting in Syracuse for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Morgan Scott.
Thanks, Morgan. President Joe Biden has granted the first 3 pardons of his term, including 2 people who were convicted on drug-related charges in Texas and Georgia. The president will also lessen the sentences of 75 others for nonviolent drug-related convictions, and the White House announced the launch of a series of job training and reentry programs for those in prison or those who have recently been released.
Now, most of us know someone who's struggled with drug addiction. In New York, the opioid epidemic has torn through communities and ruined families. But I spoke to a man who used pro wrestling to beat their addiction and keep it down for the 3 count.
That's Jeremy Campbell.
Wrestling means the world to me.
Right now, he's training to entertain you. You see, Jeremy, he's a pro wrestler. And for the past 2 years, he's been traveling the country performing as the Hope Dealer, Saren Rain.
We all battle our own demons, but Jeremy's are just a little bit different.
I struggled for many years with cocaine and pills. The first time I did cocaine, I was in college.
All while knowing it was destroying.
Imagine being underwater and drowning, but you can't stop. You can't come up for air. It's like that for 20 minutes, and then it's the worst depression you can ever imagine.
Jeremy battled his demons by entering rehab, and he struggled in the beginning.
How close were you to relapsing?
Daily, there would be times where I would stub my toe and instantly start craving.
But today, he's 8 years sober, and he still struggles. But with the help along the way with friends and family, he's making it through.
I had to surround myself with some people that would not give up on me.
And those friends see the change in him.
Even when people don't want the help, Jeremy will not push it, but he will still try to help guide in the right direction because he just genuinely cares about other people. And I've noticed that since before wrestling started. I knew that since day one.
And if you're wondering how he stays sober,
it wasn't easy, but I remind myself daily what I deserve. And going back to that life is not what I deserve. I deserve the career I've been working so hard for. And going back to that life would ruin that.
Jeremy wants to inspire hope to those who are still in their fight. So no matter if he wins or loses this one, he'll always have his hand raised in the end.
Now, in that last shot, you did see Jeremy being carted off. He was injured in that match, and he suffered a strained muscle, but he'll be back in 4 to 6 weeks. More importantly, he wanted me to tell you all that if you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, to call this number. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration provides confidential, free 24-hour-a-day referrals to local treatment facilities, support groups, and community-based organizations.
Up next, the Brooklyn Nets have finished their postseason run, and stick around for a local musical Cats, which is meowing all over the Landmark Theater, all on that. Mornings on the Hill.
Well, the Brooklyn Nets have finished their playoff run, and it comes just after 4 games, and they lost them all. Welcome into sports. I'm Calvin Cristoforo. After losing the first 2 games of the series in Boston, Brooklyn fell in Game 3 on Saturday at home, so it was do or die for the Nets last night inside the Barclays Center. Let's pick things up in the third quarter. Celtics already up 6. Now they're up 9. Jason Tatum knocks down the triple. He had 29 on the night. Here's 2 more. Boston up a dozen. But the Nets not going away. Gordon Dragic comes off the bench in the fourth quarter and scores 8 straight points. He goes to the basket. He eventually cuts it to a 3-point game after this straightaway triple from beyond the arc. This game going tight down the wire. Jason Tatum getting into some foul trouble, so Jaylen Brown takes over. Counted and 1, but the Nets not going away. Kyrie Irving knocks down the triple, and then Kevin Durant going to the basket. He makes it a 1-point game with a minute to go. Durant had 39 in this one. Tatum had fouled out at this point, so it's up to Brown again. Going to the basket, giving the Celtics some wiggle room. Up 3, now they're up 5. After a defensive stop, Al Horford cleans it up. The Celtics go on to win after Marcus Smart closes it out at the free throw line. Boston sweeps Brooklyn and now awaits the winner of the Bucks and the Bulls. Milwaukee up 3-1 in that series. So the season is over for Brooklyn. The once title favorites are now out after the first round, and it's going to be a long off season with a ton of question marks, especially about their head coach, Steve Nash. Let's stay in the city, but let's move over to the Diamond. The Mets are off to a red-hot start. After a series win over the Diamondbacks over the weekend, New York opened up a 3-game set against St. Louis last night, and the Mets grabbed a victory. After the bats were silenced for the first 9 innings, they scratched all the runs across in the 9th, including a big fly 2-run home run from Brandon Nimmo that provided the offense. The win improves the Mets' record to 13-5 on the season. That's the best in baseball, and they'll do it again against the Redbirds tonight at 7:45. Back on the hill, and the downhill spiral continues for the Syracuse men's lacrosse team. After being officially eliminated from postseason contention last weekend against North Carolina, the Orange returned home for pride against number 5 Virginia on Saturday, and things just didn't turn out well once again. After SU took the lead in the first minute, the UVA offense scored the next 5 goals and never looked back, winning a share of the ACC title for the 19th time. Jackson Birtwistle was the lone bright spot for the Orange. The redshirt freshman scored 5 times, but that was not enough as the Orange lose their 5th straight game and have just 1 game left on their regular season slate. That comes Sunday when Notre Dame comes to the Dome at noon. And finally, moving over to the most important game on the Hill on Sunday, it's the Watson Cup, and it's so back. Citrus TV and Z89 set to duke it out in kickball at 5. The squad, in which some are calling the Evil Empire in Z89, goes for its 5th straight victory. That one is coming up at 5 p.m. on Sunday. Let's take a look at what's going on in the women's lacrosse field. SU Women's Lac starts up their ACC tournament run on Friday, and our own Marcus Veal has more.
That's right, Calvin. It's going down in South Bend, Indiana this week as number 3 Syracuse will take on the 6th seed Virginia in the ACC Women's Lacrosse Tournament. Winners of 3 of their last 4, the Orange finished the regular season at 13-4 and 6-2 in conference play. The Orange and the Cavaliers have met before. Back in March, Syracuse came out with the 17-11 win on the road thanks to 5 goals from Megan Tyrell. This is the 8th appearance for the Orange in the ACC tournament, and it's been kind to them as they've reached the championship game 5 times, the last time being last year against the defending champion and this year's 2 seed, Boston College. The quarterfinals matchup between Syracuse and UVA will go down this Friday at 7:30 p.m. right there on ACC Network. Reporting live outside the Carrier Dome, I'm Marcus Veal for Mornings on the Hill.
Still to come here on Mornings on the Hill, a look at some local artists and events in the area. Stay with us, and that story ahead.
One of the longest running musicals on Broadway is coming right here to Syracuse. I had the chance to talk with one of the cast members who's a little familiar with the Landmark stage. Tonight, the Landmark Theater will open its doors to the national touring production of Cats. Audiences will get the chance to view the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical and will see a familiar face, if they could recognize him underneath all the makeup. Dominic Fortunato, who plays the role of Pound Civil, will be making a return to his hometown of Syracuse. But before Cats, Fortunato got to start performing in Syracuse with his family as a traveling troupe called the Lyra Performers.
We would perform at the New York State Fair. We would perform at the Festa Italiana downtown. We would perform at nursing homes and do all of this stuff.
Despite becoming a triple threat and an instrumentalist, the idea of pursuing a career in musical theater seemed so far away. Dominic talked about how important it is to show Syracuse children that their New York City dreams are possible.
It's so overwhelming to just think about all the things that you want to do, but it's like, how do you do them? And especially growing up in Syracuse or like smaller communities in upstate New York, when you're so removed from New York City, like to like get your foot into it is kind of scary at first.
Dominic is helping students get rid of that fear by teaching a masterclass at Syracuse University and visiting his former high school this week. He left with advice for those looking to follow in his footsteps.
Always work hard, always be kind, and not to listen to what other people say if they're gonna have negative opinions or thoughts on what it is that he is doing. If you really enjoy what you're doing, keep doing it.
To see Dominic and the production of Cats, you can visit landmarktheater.org. Shows are running today, April 26th, until Saturday, April 30th. And from local entertainment to Hollywood, a local Syracuse band paid a tribute to a popular heavy metal group, but it's not your same old situation.
Ah, yes. It's the best time of the week for New Yorker Eddie Catterson. Burritos, hockey, booze, and his buddy Xavier. A Saturday night out like any other. Or is it? He's obviously fixing his hair for something.
Here's my girlfriend. Here she is.
Could this be some sort of masquerade? Not quite.
Wildside, tribute to Motley Crue.
It's a foursome of middle-aged city boys celebrating a group that defined their young adult lives.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean, they lived it, and, you know, we lived it through them.
The metal band Motley Crue was one of America's biggest throughout the 1980s, a time when mainstream music was very different from 2022.
It's raw. It's not produced like today. It's like four guys in a room or on the stage, and only those four guys are making the noise.
Hard rock and metal music. My voice can sing this sort of stuff, require a high range, and I just enjoy it.
The tribute band itself began in 2010, but the idea of Wildside goes all the way back to a childhood dream in Xavier's native country of Switzerland.
My friend, when I was about 13, says, I want to put a heavy metal band together, and you will be the lead guitar player. I said, Louis, that sounds like a great idea. I never played guitar in my life, but I'm in.
Decades later, he's still in, thanks in part to the everlasting spirit of his girlfriend, Dee.
It's all about the 80s.
The same goes for Chris and his girlfriend, Dawn.
She's like part of the band.
Together, the pair of cheerleaders formed Double D, the groupie they've always dreamt of.
They were my favorite band growing up. Motley Crue, not Wildside.
But like chasing any dream, it's not easy.
This band is pretty busy.
There comes great challenges to maintaining a band of any stature. That, of course, includes travel. With long drives across state lines, no two sleeps are ever the same.
This is home for tonight.
Even for a Motley Crue band, there's no such thing as home sweet home. There's also the day job to consider. Eddie spends his entire week managing printing projects in the city. Pete spends his doing finances. But for all, it's the thought of letting loose that keeps the guys grinding day in and day out.
I think it's a good, like yin and yang. I get to be very professional during the week, and then on the weekend, I get to curse in front of hundreds of people and sing and, act like a rock star.
I'm digging this crowd, I'm digging it.
And above all, there's still one big item left on these 80s kids' bucket lists.
If we could jump on stage with the real Motley Crue for one song, that would be the ultimate stuff. Oh, we'd love to do that.
On paper and in name, they're just Wildside. But to their audience, there's something more. Whoa, that didn't sound like Wildside. That sounded like... Motley Crue. So although they've yet to meet their heroes, in a way, they've become their heroes. Carson Gambaro, Mornings on the Hill, Chicopee, Massachusetts.
Now, some people are familiar with the Wicked Witch of the West, but today we're going to talk about the Wicked Witch of Central New York.
That was my offering for the tree, and again, like, the bone matter is a great thing for spirits to hang on to.
That's Jules Colin. She's a witch who lives in Kirksville, New York. One of her specialties is hexing.
My favorite way is to make a poppet, which is essentially a voodoo doll, and then I have a tree that I nail them to.
This tree in Colin's backyard is filled with poppets from curses put upon those who have wronged her.
So this person kept saying things, kept saying they were going to curse me, do all these things, so I took it into my own hands and did it to them.
The effect was everything she hoped for.
Well, apparently she fell downstairs a lot. She tore ligaments in her feet and in her legs. She was violently sick for a long time.
If you do feel that you have been wrongfully hexed, Jules tells me that there are ways to counteract it, such as spiritual baths and unhexing oil.
Hexing and cursing to me is just another way to defend yourself.
Colin operates a shop right on her front porch called Julie's Cauldron, where she reads tarot cards and sells all the essentials for practicing witches. She's also the president and founder of Witches and Heathens of Central New York, and says the area has a strong witch community.
There are thousands. Now in the organization we have over 2,000 members, but it's much more than you could even imagine.
One of these witches living in Central New York is Emerson Kopsak. Her practices are less extreme than some, as she focuses most of her energy into research and learning things like protection spells.
You're mostly just using your energy and pushing it into an object.
Robert Gervais is the owner of the Earthbound Metaphysical Shop in North Syracuse, where you can get a cup of coffee with your crystals. He comes from a line of ancestors who practice nature-oriented paganism.
Wicca is under paganism. It's all basically, think of pagan as the tree, and all the little branches are everything else.
Kopsak says that one of the most impactful spiritual experiences of her life occurred on the Wiccan holiday of Samhain, which takes place on Halloween. It's sometimes referred to as the Witch's New Year.
So I wanted to do something special, and so I got together like snacks and stuff that I wanted to give to for offerings.
Kopsak worships a number of different deities, and this special offering was for Hecate, the goddess she has worked with most throughout her practices. She brought these offerings to a graveyard behind her college dormitory and placed them in a tree.
Just with my practice, I wanted to work with the dead a lot, because I'm very interested in learning about death and trying to be more comfortable with the idea of death.
Kopsak says she does not force her beliefs onto others and feels supported by friends and family.
My mom's main thing was just as long as I don't do anything with demons. But now I'm looking into demonology, so that's going to be fun. Might done something. She's a little demon. I call her my little demon.
Most of the time when people are working with demons, it's because they've got their own inner demons they need to take care of.
But battling with inner demons is not the only thing that Kopsak has to worry about.
I do what I can, just based on school and stuff, because I'm in organic chemistry. I want to be a surgeon.
Some might be shocked to find just how many witches lead lives similar to their own.
People that you would never expect, certain lawyers, certain politicians, stuff like that, that are all very secretive about what they do.
But the community is plagued with one misconception in particular.
That we're all evil. That we're all bad people.
Most of Colin's time is spent helping people, not hexing them.
I'm huge on being a good person.
Every year, Witches and Heathens of CNY holds a Witches' Ball. Last year, the organization raised $18,000 for the witch community, with 10% of ticket sales going to the food bank of Central New York.
A lot of charity organizing, like not just for the witches, but for like the Samaritan Center, Oakwood Cemetery, we work with them to do cleanups and stuff. We're just trying to show people who we are.
It may be hard to see past the stereotypes we find in the media each and every day, but with an open mind, and maybe a closed casket, it's easy to see all the good that comes from the tight-knit witchcraft community. For NCC News, I'm Ryan Baker.
Now, I don't know about you, but it's feeling a little spooky in the studio right now. Caitlin Miles, back to you.
Listen, it was an absolute joy, man, all of those packages. I think my favorite had to be the Motley Crue one. What about you?
I really enjoyed the Cats one. I'm a big fan of Cats, and I really am interested in seeing that play.
Listen, are you going to get on your best rum tum tugger?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, listen, before we go, I think I'm going to check that show out on Saturday. Rochelle, she said it was checking out on Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to have a blast at that. I love plays. I love theater. What do you love?
I love theater as well. I've been to a few Broadway plays. Haven't been since COVID, so maybe this is my chance to do so.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. Well, listen, that's going to do it for us here on Mornings on the Hill. I'm Miles Hood. You can follow us on social media at Mornings on the Hill without the G.
And I'm Caitlin McCarthy. Thanks for watching Orange Nation. We'll see you next Tuesday as well on Friday, live 10 a.m. right here on OTN.